Making radio great again. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the What's Right show. So 2 days now post-election. Certainly have some updates on this. We'll get to all of the details on that. I just have a kind of a big picture check-in here. Because now more data is available, folks. I'll tell you, we have, as my humble opinion, looking at the data from New York, looking at the number of frustrated, college-educated people who are, not making it, who are burdened by enormous student debt, who have jobs that are not meeting the expectations that they had. These are the driving forces of the American communist revolution of 2025. These are the people that are voting for Comrade Mamdani. These are the people that are disassociating from the American capitalist system. They're checking out, and they're dangerous. And so my son, those of you following the program here, you know that I have 3 kids. And my oldest is 18 and a senior in high school, which means, God, we're dealing with all of the applications and whatnot for school. And my son plays water polo, so he's, intent on going to a 4-year school, preferably a D1 school where he can play competitively. And this is what his this is driving purpose. And so, if it weren't for water polo, and I've told him this many times, if it weren't for this very specific thing that he wants to do, and that will likely reduce the cost of college for him, why go? Unless you have a very clear goal that you want to be a doctor, an attorney, something specific that requires the college path. Look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers, it speaks for itself. The breakdown, an educational breakdown of people that voted in the New York City mayoral election, people who were not high school graduates, so people who didn't even graduate from high school, a majority of them voted for either Cuomo or for Curtis Sliwa. The same for high school graduates. The minute it gets into college degrees, even an AA, it starts to even out. Bachelor's degree, 57% of bachelor degrees of people that went to a 4-year school were in the tank for Mamdani. And advanced degrees, ditto. This was driven largely by people who have, went to a 4-year school, probably $200,000 or more dollars in debt, who have jobs where they maybe are making $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 a year. But are not making it. And in a city like New York, where rents are thousands of dollars a month for a starting hovel, these are people that are behind the 8 ball. They see others around them living it up, yucking it up, going out, getting fancy cocktails, $22, $23, $25 a pop. And they're not able to realize the dream that they were told was going to be attainable. If only they went to college, everything else would be easy street. Now, that's the problem here. There is no such thing as easy street in the real world. Socialism promises easy street, and it's one of the greatest lies ever told. It's fundamentally untrue. Instead, it'll bring misery. It'll actually bring a reduction of wealth. Everything that these young people, and again, this is another component of this, look at the numbers of young voters. Under 30s, unbelievable how much they broke for Mamdani, how much they broke for socialism in America. And and now it's hundreds, if not thousands, of on-the-street interviews with people following the election. Predominantly young people getting interviewed and getting asked about this. And you can dismiss it. You know, I think we Republicans at our peril, can dismiss this and say, this was vibes. They were having a good time. Mamdani has a cute smile. He's, a positive person. He's, good looking, young, that he has an appeal based on his looks and his charm, whatnot. But it's bigger than this. And this is a cautionary tale for Republicans that there is a disconnect among young people because they cannot tap into this economy, or they feel they can't. And they actually have been taken for a ride by the university college system. Everybody gets told you've got to go to college. And how many times have I been talking about this for years now here on this program, that college shouldn't be for everybody? Studies have been done on this where they take a cohort of people that graduated in a certain year, and they follow the people that went into trades. They follow the people that went into college. And when they look at the rate of earnings that those individuals accumulate over time, and this goes on for, they'll look at it at a decade, at 15 years, at 20, right? And they look at this and they add it up. And when you deduct the overhead of a college education, you're not really, the bottom half of the earners coming out of college are actually behind, have made less money over their lifetime than the people that went into the trades. And that is an astonishing number, meaning if you go into college, you are 50% likely. Again, this is just the average person. May not be your kids, but it's somebody's kid. 50% of the people that go to college may end up making less money over their lifetime than those that don't. And it's going to get worse, not better, when AI starts to take these white collar, administrative jobs that were the entry point, the launching point for so many of these people coming out of four-year schools. We've had this conversation many times before, but it connects to this rising socialist fervor in this country, and it terrifies me. It ought to terrify you too. So, the solution, of course, here's what will happen. Before we get to the solution, one of the leading causes of the push for colleges has actually been the federal government. The Department of Education, student loan financing, has made it easy for people with zero credit history to go and apply for these loans, and the amount that people are able to borrow continues to go up in order to fund these universities, which, of course, by and large, are run by raving socialists. And the entire thing is being funded by taxpayers, by you and I, but certainly directly, the people making the decisions are in the deep state, are in the government, are these people in DC who know exactly what they're doing. They are funding their friends in higher education. They keep increasing the amount that little Johnny can borrow at 17 years old to go to college, to be a college graduate. More money going into the coffers of indoctrination institutes. And it's actually doubly self-defeating because these people, these young people, are going to college. And what? They're not being taught anything of real use. Gender studies, queer studies, all this nonsense. And on the other hand, if that wasn't, bad enough, they're also then burdened by this enormous debt that then becomes another means by which the left, the Democratic Party, can ensure that these, future college graduates are reliable Democratic voters. Which party is it that constantly gives away student loan reductions? It's the Democrats. The whole thing is so perverse, and it has metastasized like cancer. And that is one of the biggest explanations for what is happening in New York and what will happen in other cities and other states across the country if we don't fix it. So I got to take a quick break. The solution, there is one. We'll get to that when we come back. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, look, I'll give you my email real quick before the break. If you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, do email me on this topic, and particularly if you've had a recent experience with a college student in your family. I'd love to hear from you. Sam at what'srightshow.com. Sam at what'srightshow.com, at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. What's Right Show will be back in just a moment.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian, behind the What's Right microphone. The What's Right Show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash offices in California and Nevada. 1-800-304-2000, 1-800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right. Now, a college. I'm talking about college. This, to me, is for many people a scam. And it relates directly to the problem that we have with rising socialist fervor. Literally, as I'm calling it now, the beginnings of an American communist revolution. Do not dismiss Zohran Mamdani in New York as a one-off thing, as a fluke. Do not underestimate him, and in particular, we should not underestimate the people that are so furious with their lives that they are supporting him. Now, I understand there's a whole lot of support out there for Mamdani from different quarters, right? And I played yesterday, an older couple probably looked to be about 60, maybe touch more, touch less. These are people who look very well healed, and I mentioned that when I played the video, and they just are libs and have been lobotomized. So I there's of course some supporters are like that, but the data shows now when you look at the college versus non-college educated that there is an enormous amount of college educated support for Mamdani, and I can tell you, no question, that the people that are college educated supporting Mamdani, who support Democratic Socialists of America, who are going to support in other places, not just New York, candidates of his ilk, went to college, were promised riches, were promised a great career, all this stuff was going to happen for them. They got into debt. And now none of it is coming true. I mean, they may be making in New York City $150,000, $160,000 a year. But after their student debt payment, after rent, after going out to the latest she trendy spot that you have to go out to, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, they don't have much left over. In fact, they're probably in debt, and they can never, ever get to a place where they can buy their own place unless their parents help them. So there it is. No, I'm telling you, that's the frustration. Now, let me say this, and I going through the college tours right now with my son. It's the worst, by the way. And many of you have gone through this with your kids, and grandkids maybe now as well. So college tuitions are insane. They keep going up. They keep going up, by the way, because FAFSA and basically the government keeps raising the amount that they'll lend. I went on a college tour with my son where, and I'll just tell you the number. I'll be flat out. I will tell you the number. I played a little game with Robbie about what he thinks of the number was. And Robbie underestimated the number by 50%. And I think, Robbie, I'm talking to producer Robbie here on the show. You thought it was going to be, you thought you were picking a big number, weren't you? All in, and this is a private university that we went to look at. All in, books, tuition, everything, it's about $94,000 for 1 year of undergrad. And the tuition component of that is $67,000 this year. Last year, or this current school year, it's about $64,000. So it's gone up $3,000 year over year. Now, I'm bringing this up because I just want to let you all know I had to pick myself up off the floor. I hadn't been up to speed on these numbers. I thought I was going to have a coronary. And the next thing I'm going to tell you is, okay, there might be some financial aid available, whatever. There are some discounts, and they certainly do. The school does do that. But you're going to still, with whatever it is, be paying $45,000 a year for sure, like without question. You're not going to get more than a 50% discount. So then what? What American family, average, hardworking American family that's been put through the Biden economy ringer, can afford a sudden $45,000 a year? They can't. So you need financial aid, right? You need financial aid. So your kid is going to come out of school with, and again, this is sort of a best case scenario for a good private school. Your kid is going to leave with $180,000 of student debt. That is a drag coefficient for your adult budget like a mother effer. Okay? That's going to slow you down. It's going to interfere in your ability, even if you did somehow get enough money together for a down payment, it's going to factor in to your ability to qualify for a loan, to buy a home. It's a giant financial millstone around your neck. Now, it makes sense, okay, if your plan is to be a lawyer and you are a good lawyer and you go and you end up ultimately in a job that's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Okay, then there is a return on investment. The ROI makes sense. But these kids, I mean, can I give you an example of New York? I was talking to a gal here in Las Vegas that has a daughter who went to a very good school in California and got a job at her dream job in New York City. And she works, I think she told me, like 60 to 70 hours a week. She has to bust her money. This job is a lot. And it's actually at a well-respected big ad agency. But here's my point. Here's where I'm going with it. She's making, I think, $65,000 a year. Now, will her salary go up? If she's good, it will. And I know this person. I'm confident that her career is going to take off. But not every person that went to a 4-year school is a just a gangbusters kind of go for the moon and succeed kind of person. Because the higher ed industry has brought in as many people not interested in, is this degree going to be good for them? More, can we get our hands, the university, can we get our hands on this person's financial aid? Can we squeeze the government through the student for as much money as possible? That's the scam. And by the way, it was perpetrated by the Democrats who are now benefiting from this exasperation politically. Really perverse. All right, solution when we come back, I promise. By the way, that sandwich guy, that former Department of Justice employee that hurled a sandwich at ICE agents, his acquittal is exactly the problem with D.C. It's just, it's going to be very difficult for Pam Bondi or any of her prosecutors to get meaningful convictions in the District of Columbia, Virginia, Maryland, etc., even where the charges are, in a word, open and shut. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, good to be here with you. Yesterday was a reckoning here on this program, and I know I didn't pull any punches. I want to start talking today about how we move forward from here. One thing, of course, is undeniable. Well, there's a few things that are undeniable. Yesterday, of course, was a drubbing. No two ways about it. No question about it. So here's where we're at. We have got to win young people. And by the way, Trump is doing it and has done it. But the way you do it is through affordability. Now, here are the competing messages. And this is the solution, okay, to these overeducated, underperforming, and therefore miserable, frankly, young people who are out there joining the socialist cause. There's two competing messages here. The left says we're going to give you free stuff. We're going to cap your rent. We're going to give you free stuff. We're gonna do loan forgiveness for your student loans. Right? That is compelling. There's always going to be a segment of society that likes the handout. The Republican message has to be, no, we are going to make you independent. We are going to provide a world where you can be self-sufficient. And I think that we as Republicans need to start encouraging at least half of young people out there to not go to college, to learn a trade. We need to start getting back to having metal shop, auto shop, body shop, all these things that used to be in high schools, and then we did away with them because everybody was going to college. Bring it back. And by the way, here's one thing I'll tell you. The kid that graduates from high school with some skills and is hireable on, the day after, graduation, and works with his hands and earns a living for his family and is able to begin adulthood with income, is not going to be a Mamdani voter. This person is not going to be a raving socialist. And there's two reasons for it. One, of course, is making money and being independent, all that, and able to start to see the fruits of his success. But the other part of it is they're not going to college to get indoctrinated in all this ridiculousness. We have been paying, as tax-paying Americans, you and I have been paying to indoctrinate people that are bringing about now our own destruction. We have been subsidizing this. It's very frightening. Now, remember, Vivek Ramaswamy ran for president in the memorable Republican primary. He was here on this program when that was transpiring. He's now running for governor of Ohio. And Vivek, this was yesterday, Fox News, Laura Ingraham interviewed him. And, his take here is really good. And I'm going to play it because this is exactly right. We've got to revive the American dream. And he brings up college, too.
We have to revive, Laura, the idea of the American dream. To them, it doesn't feel real. They're a generation that's skeptical of that idea of the American dream when home ownership feels like it's a little bit out of reach, like they're working hard in the labor market but not quite getting ahead. This actually starts a lot younger. It starts with our education system. And this is an area where, again, we as Republicans can lead to say that our job of our K through 12 education system is to prepare our young people to be effective contributors to the workforce, either the day they graduate in high school with education in the trades, or else to be a useful education and student in four-year college degree programs that actually prepare them without saddling them with four-year college debt that isn't serving them well.
Yes.
A lot of those young Americans are cynical of that American dream, Laura, but our job isn't just to preach at them. It's to provide them that economic empowerment, because at the end of the day, my message to them is you still can't be cynical about this country. We're the last best hope on planet Earth where you're going to be able to pursue that opportunity. We just got to convince those young people to come along with us, and we will.
You know, my parents are both PhDs. My in-laws are both college educated. My wife and I, we both went to college, although, you know, I like to point out occasionally that she got a dance degree from BYU. So, not particularly helpful, but she had a great time. And I'll tell you my own story about college is, maybe you don't know this, but I started at UCI, the University of California, Irvine. And I know, Robbie, you thought I was going to use the other acronym, so just relax. Everything's going to be okay. Now, I went to UCI, and I was a lost puppy. I don't know, like 18 years old. I go to UCI. I start school. I'm certainly very conservative. So the first thing that I absolutely detested were the flaming communists everywhere. And I had to sit in class and listen to complete morons teach me a revised history of the world. Like it was, literally my first year getting a feminist reading of the French Revolution. I'm like, yeah, from the background. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not the take here, but okay. So it didn't speak to me. Like it was useless. It was pointless. And I bailed on it, and I went to work full time because I wanted to hustle and I wanted to make money. I wanted to get the hell out of the house. I love my parents, but come on, I wanted to be independent. And you all appreciate that, right? That makes sense. And it wasn't until, and by the way, as a terrible student, I mean, I have nothing to hide. I had a 2.7 GPA. That's like, it's not good. And then as an adult, I decided I wanted to be, as like a real adult, when I was 29, I said, I got to go to law school. And so I went back to undergrad, and my GPA was a 4.0 because I had a purpose, I had a drive, I knew what I wanted, and I got in, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, got my 2 years, finished my undergrad, and then went straight into law school. I didn't miss a beat. And I don't recommend, if you're going to go to law school, I don't recommend doing it when you're older. But on the other hand, it's actually a great thing because now I was sitting in class and I had a goal. And even in law school, I was sitting there with 21-year-olds who had, gone 3 years blitzkrieged through their undergraduate degree. I'm going to go to law school. And they're sitting there and they have no idea about anything in life. They're learning about case law, about real complicated things going on in life, like income tax. They've never paid income tax in their life. They've never had a job. And all of the, the issues, that we were learning about, the law, based, of course, it gets analyzed through a series of facts when you're reading cases, made a lot more sense to me than it did to many of my much smarter, I would argue, classmates. So there's a value to going to school later, but the real issue is you have to have a purpose and a specific goal, not just, I don't want to, hit real life. If my son didn't have water polo and didn't have this dream of playing college water polo, which drives him, like he has just worked so hard at it, I would send him. And my son has a job offer already. I have some friends in Europe and the Czech Republic that would hire my son in a business immediately. He speaks just enough Czech. He speaks great English, and this is all I did as a parent is raise a good kid and sent him to Europe for a year to a public school, probably all in cost me $8,000 for the whole experience, maybe 10. Set him up for success in middle school, okay? And he could, if he did that, have an earning potential, quite honestly, in commercial real estate that is greater than any one of his friends coming out of a 4-year school with, let's say, a minimum of $200,000, $150,000 of student loan debt. And to those of you out there, if you are young and you are thinking about starting a family, or you have a kids, on the way, young kids, you can do so much for your child when they still live at home that will catapult them in the job market. And my recommendation, top recommendation, is to observe your kid and know what their strengths are. Like my son is really good with people, and he's a diplomat. My middle daughter is very artistic and creative, and has great spatial so. And my youngest is going to be a dictator or go to federal prison. I don't know, but you get to know your kids, right? Every one of your kids is very different, and find ways to develop their stack of talents. Listen to Scott Adams. Go through, Scott Adams, Dilbert creator, great a guy, but one of the things he always talks is about your talent stack. Work on your child's talent stack. Put skills into their portfolio. Skills, right? And the more independent you make them, send them off somewhere for a while for school. Get them out of the house. I'm a huge proponent of this. And all of a sudden, these are kids that, and it's funny because, yes, I'm well connected. Yes, I have a lot of friends that have businesses. Yes, of course, I'm fortunate that I have a network that my kids can benefit from. But nobody would want my mangy kids if they were losers. Nobody would say, Sam, I really don't think Daniel should go to college. I've had this conversation with 2 people. I don't think Sam, we would hire him. We want to hire him. And they wouldn't be saying that just as a favor to me. Trust me. So there's a way to do this. And when we think back to the way America was, most people didn't go to college. Most people worked. And one of the key solutions here, and I hate to keep coming back to this, if Donald Trump and the Republicans could do away with, ready for this? This is radical. The Department of Education and student aid, if they got rid of student loans, don't look at me like that, for undergraduate degrees, got rid of student loans. All of a sudden, when the school looks at you and goes, hey, parents, it's $60,000 a year to go here. No one in America can afford that. So what would these schools have to do? Cut costs. Probably start by firing some absolutely useless, terrible professors who are just there mooching off the system and indoctrinating our kids. It would also force a conversation about not everybody going to college. We need to stop subsidizing failure. And yes, if somebody is 22, 23, and they've gotten good grades undergrad and they're going to medical school, by all means, student loans. Give that person an opportunity to get that higher education. Because we want to invest in people who are going to be doctors, for example, and MBAs and engineers. Like, we want that. That's a good thing. Do we need 4-year degrees in some useless money, subject? No, we don't. It's a waste of time. And here on the What's Right show, we practice common sense conservatism. And that's what this is. It's common sense. And this is how if Republicans can articulate this and create a path forward for young people to be productive, earn money, not just be burdened in the higher ed machine, be sent through it, through useless courses, learn no discernible skills. I can tell you, 2 years at UCI, I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn how to write. University of California, Irvine, it's a good school. I learned how to write in middle school and in high school. I had good teachers. They taught me, I learned much more in high school than I ever did, frankly, undergrad, either at Chapman or at UCI. And then you learn everything in grad school. So this just requires a rethink. Sam Mirejovsky here, behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, good to be with you. Back in a moment. Yikes. Some of these people in New York just sounding off like crazy people. And it is worrisome, right? Socialism. It's back in vogue. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Here's a great interview on the street. We've bleeped out the obscenities because they were flying both from the interviewer and from the interviewee. And it gets at this thing that I always describe, and I remember everybody talks in Democratic politics, left-wing politics, about taxing the rich. You tax the rich, and, you know, and then when you get to actually paying for the agenda, you realize that the rich that are getting taxed are not rich. They're also very much people in maybe your income bracket. I remember this in the Clinton era. We're going to tax the rich, and all of a sudden it was people earning $100,000 a year had their taxes go up. So here's a great interview about the people that are, you know, what happens when the billionaires and the multimillionaires flee New York. And by the way, they are fleeing already. And the young, excited Zohran Mamdani voter, this, woman with crazed eyes, looks about, early mid-20s, lays it all out.
Well, how are we going to pay for it?
How are we going to pay for it with tax money? With tax dollars.
Okay, where the tax dollars come from?
Tax dollars are coming from all of the billionaires and wealthy people. That
Well, they already pay, the top 1% already pays 50% of all taxes. Yeah.
Can you
IRS data reflects that the top 1% already pays 50% of all taxes. But I ask you, so if you tax the rich to oblivion,
Yes.
what happens when the rich leave the city? Who's to tax then?
They won't leave the city.
Why not?
Because-
They've already done it in California.
Because in New York State, we have Wall Street. They're not leaving. And so what
You
if
think they can't leave? Then who are you going to tax when they leave?
We're just going to continue taxing people. But your
Oh,
argument,
the middle class, right?
Yes, actually, the middle
Oh,
class.
okay, so you explained it. So we're going to tax out of the middle class when the rich people leave after you tax them.
I think we should tax out of everybody. Yes, I think the middle class should be taxed 50% like it does in Sweden.
There you go. Middle class, tax 50%. Screw you and you and you. You know, everybody that has a penny more than me is rich. She doesn't want to pay for anything. At no point here did she say, well, I'd like to pay more. You know, I get into this. This is actually my favorite thing. I have a number of friends who are well-to-do, and they're also very liberal. Okay, but understand, like, so I'll have conversations about this kind of tax policy. I go, well, wait a minute. You are in a position to do something for this, right? This is people who have money. I say, you're in a position, you could, have you volunteered to pay more money in your income taxes? Have you bought, a duplex, a fourplex, maybe a small apartment building? Because I know people who have the means to do, and offered low-income housing. Oh, you haven't? Oh, so who's supposed to do, how is this supposed to happen? And actually, this is the best part. Nobody, even the wealthy that preach this kind of stuff, so the millionaires and even the billionaires, and then right down to this little cretin, none of these people actually want to pay for socialism themselves. It's the great quote, right? It's Margaret Thatcher, other people's money. It's always somebody else's money. So it's such a pass the buck system, literally. Somebody else's buck. Now, I want to address this Wall Street, nonsense, right? This Wall Street nonsense. And I'll get to this more. Trust me. Wall Street, a trading floor, the NYSE, number one, the whole thing could move out of state if it needed to. Number two, we're moving. Hey, the same people, the Democrats that brought us work from home, that brought us vote by mail, are now saying, oh, you can't leave New York because physically Wall Street's here. You know how stupid you say? Okay, everybody can vote from home. You can Zoom in. People can do Wall Street jobs from Florida. They can do it from Alabama. They can do it from an isle of Turks and Caicos, as long as there's internet. And by the way, what's the housing market doing? Already people are fleeing. I'll bring you that next. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian, behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the program. So, by the way, shutdown's still going. Democrats do not seem to be letting up. Republicans waiting for 7 total Democratic votes to advance past the filibuster, or Trump continuing to push the filibuster's demise. Again, if you want Republicans to do something, then the answer is getting rid of the filibuster. We talked about this yesterday. So that's Republicans have the presidency, they have the Senate, they have the House of Representatives. Here in Nevada, we are blessed with 2 completely idiotic Democratic senators. Don't worry, California is as well. But there were a little bit of fireworks from Jackie Rosen. Yes, I know. I saw it. Well, she got into it. Who was this with Moreno? This was today. This was this morning in our nation's capital. Bernie Moreno having it out with Jackie Rosen, who I think run into, next week. Choice words for her. Anyway, this is how it went down.
What do you say to the staff? What do you say to the TSA workers? What do you say to the air traffic controllers?
What
do you
I
say
am
to the
saying
military?
to you is
What do you
it's
say to
the
the Capitol
Republican
Police?
shutdown, my friend. You are in control of the White House. You are in control of the House, and you are in control of the Senate.
Does it
and
take
if
60
you went
votes?
home
Does
to
it
a
take 60
food bank
votes?
instead of going to Mar-a-Lago
Does it
to
take 60
eat
votes?
at a gold-plated dinner while people are starving, you might see and hear your constituents, sir. You are blind to the suffering of your people.
Does it take 60 votes?
You listening and coming to the table
So
to
it
have a
does take
discussion.
60 votes.
If you want to have this, come talk to me in private, sir.
Okay. So it does take 60 votes, for the record, just so that we're clear on the reporting, so that there's no misinformation.
He's so calm, and she's losing her mind. Jackie Rosen, it takes 60 votes. It's the Republican shutdown. Hey, give us the votes. I don't know. Again, I understand that the Democrats want to extract concessions from Republicans. But the Democrats are the ones withholding the votes. So don't talk to me about food banks. Don't talk to me about people that are going without paychecks. By the way, you saw Senator Kennedy, John Kennedy, had a bit here. I think he's together with some House members bringing forward some legislation saying that would make it law that members of Congress would not get paid during a shutdown and would not be entitled to retroactive pay. I mean, this seems to me a straightforward thing, no? How quickly would the government reopen if members of Congress went without paychecks? That's the biggest scandal of this. Jackie Rosen is collecting her salary. This witch is getting paid. Ditto every other Democrat that has dug their heels in. Meanwhile, thousands of federal workers are getting butt-kissed nothing. Does that make you upset? I think it makes me quite upset, to be perfectly blunt. Now, Trump says get rid of the filibuster. He again gave a plea to this effect at the press conference today at the Oval Office, is what he said.
I think it's time for them to end the filibuster and just put everybody back to work. Vote in voter ID, vote in no mail-in voting except for military, faraway military, and people that are very sick. I'd like to see one-day voting. I'd like to see not 65 days of voting from all over the place. No, I'd like to clean up the elections. The border, we've done a great job. We have a great, strong border now. I'd like to see new rules on immigration that can be fair and good, but rules that you'll never get, rules that they're never going to get. There's so many things we could put in, including tax cuts that we could get, and we could do it all ourselves. But to do that, you have to end the filibuster. The filibuster is, and they'll do it too. They'll immediately do it. What they're going to do is, what the Democrats will do is they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. They're going to make D.C. a state. They're going to pack the court. They're going to end up with more electoral votes. They're going to end up with 4 senators because of the 2 states. And they're going to do this 100%. They would have done it, except Manchin and Sinema got in their way. They would have done it. So if they're going to do it, I would do it. I would do it before them.
Bingo. I like Trump's right. I mean, it's right now we got 3 years to clean this up. 3 years. Actually, really just 1. It has to happen before the midterms. Tommy Tuberville, Senator Tommy Tuberville, is all in for this. He held a press conference today, gets asked about this, and this was his take on the filibuster.
Okay, if we need to bust it, let's bust it. Let's knock it down to 51 and let the Senate know that, listen, the power needs to go to the president and let him get something done. If we don't, we're going to lose our country. It's going to be over with. And so he's got 3 years. He's the last Trump that we'll have in office. He's hard-nosed. He believes in this country. Let's give him some support. If he wants to blow up the filibuster, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So that's, obviously Tuberville's a more conservative Republican in the Senate. You're going to have obstruction certainly from 3 members of the Senate, as best as I can tell, and that's going to be Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, and Susan Collins of Maine. And this is what it comes down to is Thune claims, again, he still doesn't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster, so it just comes down to a vote thing. But if this shutdown continues much longer, there will be a real pressure on Republicans, moderate Republicans, bipartisan Republicans, to come up with a solution. And the solution is it may very well be even some of the moderates to get on board with killing this thing. So that's a possibility. Now I know I'm telling you I think. Yeah. Well, of course, Nancy Pelosi in the middle of this is declaring herself out of the retiring from the House of Representatives after being there since the beginning of the Triassic era, and so lots of great people now coming forward and saying nice things about Pelosi. Marjorie Taylor Greene, 2 days in a row now playing clips from her. Marjorie Taylor Greene, my opinion, actually said something here that made sense to me. This is what she said about Nancy Pelosi.
I will praise Nancy Pelosi. She had an incredible career for her party. I served under her speakership in my first term of Congress, and I'm very impressed at her ability to get things done. I wish we could get things done for our party like Nancy Pelosi was able to deliver for her party. So I wish her well in her retirement, but I would like to see people exit Washington a lot sooner rather than wait until they're 80.
Nancy Pelosi, this is exactly right. Nancy Pelosi was the Iron Lady of the Democratic Party. Now she's lost her fastball because she's deteriorating quickly and she's getting old. But in her prime, and I would count that, I think gosh, the last time I saw her was probably in what did I see? 17, something like that, 16, 17. No. Trump was already in the White House. So 18, I think, is when I saw her. She is immensely charming. And I her politics, of course, are loathsome to me. And I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene here is telling us that she likes Nancy Pelosi's, likes what Nancy Pelosi did to the country. But Nancy Pelosi is very effective at keeping Democrats in line. She was a hard-nosed leader. And gosh dang it, Republicans need that right now. I don't know if Mike Johnson's the answer. I understand we got a thin, a majority. I got it, and Johnson is, but he's not an inspiring figure, in my opinion. Now that we got into this too, this is one part, obviously keeping the troops in line, and I think maybe a guy like Mike Johnson actually makes for a good whip. He's able to deal with people individually and whatnot. But just the Republicans in Congress, the brand, the congressional Republican brand needs a salesperson, needs somebody who's going to get people excited about what it means to vote for Republicans come the midterms. And it's back to 1994. We've got to bring back the 1994 vibes. That's what we need. So, yeah, I'm going to come back some Nancy Pelosi highlight reels. Yes, of course. And then more reactions from the crazies on the street and what this means for the next year politically. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Be right back in a moment.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
As far as the shutdown is concerned, there's not much I think California can do to pressure its senators because, of course, very blue state. But here in Nevada, I think we can make a little bit of a difference calling these people. By the way, it's prompting me to talk about this. And Sam Mirejovsky here, that's who you're listening to. Behind the What's Right microphone, this hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. So Buddy here wrote on X, found me at What's Right Sam, wrote, I called Rosen's office. That's the senator whose clip I played last segment. I called Rosen's office today and reminded her staff that she literally ran a commercial during her campaign about working for Nevadans, not Washington party bosses. Buddy, this is excellent. It's a great point. And what I'm doing is I'm going to retweet you here. And forgive me, this is live radio here. I really should get some help with this, but I'm doing it myself because that's who I am. I'm putting out on Twitter the Catherine, both for Jackie Rosen and for Catherine Cortez Masto. These are our two senators. I'm putting out their phone numbers, and I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm doing okay. They have multiple offices, but I'm putting here on X. Again, this will be at What's Right Sam. I'm putting both of their phone numbers out. For their Washington, D.C. office and for their Las Vegas office. They have Reno offices too, but D.C. offices and the local Vegas office is probably good. Okay, so I'm saying Nevada, call our senators today. See, this is it here. Boom, bam, and off we go. There we go. I'm sending this off. Perfect. Good. So you can go right to X and you can find the phone numbers for Rosen's office. I've put them there for you straight from their website. So you have one simple place and you can click on the phone number, call right from your phone. So you're welcome. At What's Right Sam on X, call our senators today and tell them to open the damn government. I mentioned Nancy Pelosi. She's on her way out. So the government shut down, producing a casualty. No, this was expected. Nancy Pelosi has had some real humdingers. My favorite one is this moment where she said Biden ought to be on Mount Rushmore. And even the liberal media was surprised by this one. No, this was great. I mean, this was Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes. And this was in August of 2024. This is after Nancy Pelosi put a shiv in Joe Biden and ended his presidential aspirations for a second term.
Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next?
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden.
Well, I'm not saying take down Teddy Roosevelt. We got to add Biden there. Not serious, obviously. But this is who she was. She was able to execute you politically and then turn around the next moment and say that you deserve to be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, I couldn't do politics. I can't do it. I know you guys all say, Sam, you ought to run for the Senate, whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not a sociopath. Okay, I can't exist in this world. These people are, like reptile people. Well, who's going to replace her? Her daughter is a shoo-in, the one that was in on the setup of January 6th, there with her film crew, ready to document the day. Completely, just not planned in the least. There's also a guy named, let's see, who is this? Scott Wiener. Who is Scott Wiener? He is a state senator in California. Those of you who live in California, my condolences. This guy is the most radical member of the state legislature in California, and that is saying something. I guess, he's the one, he is the most hardcore pro-trans member of the California legislature. I mean, he's just he's absolutely crazy. Oh, by the way, this reminds me, Supreme Court decision today. Let me pull this out. This is, let's see here. This is it's a good decision. I haven't had a chance to read it because it came out just as I was going on air. But apparently, Donald Trump has won at the Supreme Court, kicking transgenderism off the U.S. passport. So now you are male, you are female, and that is it. 2 genders on the passport. So that case was decided today, November 6, 2025. Okay. Just had to throw that out. Scott Wiener, of course, having a bad day, but Wiener could get elected in San Francisco. Of course he could. He's not even that radical when you think about the number of crazies in San Francisco. So anyway, that seat's going to go to somebody pretty choice. No question about it. And that's good because that's where the new Democratic Party is headed. Listen to this is good. I have some people here sounding off on TikTok, on social media, following Mamdani's win. Okay. Here's one woman who is so excited after Tuesday night, after the election. She's so thrilled. Listen to how thrilled she is and why she's thrilled.
God, there is just something so electric, so satisfying about knowing that my MAGA parents, wherever they are probably having a horrible night tonight. Oh, I literally just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like they are in such a bad mood probably about the fact that Zoran just won and Prop 50 is going to pass. Like, wow. God, I'm sorry. It just makes me feel good that my MAGA parents are probably upset right now.
This is wild. There's another woman on social media that says that when my day starts with Dick Cheney being dead and ends with Mamdani winning, Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, my gosh, I'm so happy. And then there's the troll. I think people don't understand this. I bring this back when we bring it up when we come back. Yeah, there's a lady. She's a Mamdani supporter, okay? And she's trolling people with this call to be converted to Islam now that New York is, has an Islamic mayor. Now, I'm going to explain this to you and why this actually is something we ought to take seriously and why it's part of the problem here. I don't discount any of this. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. The Daily Mail newspaper reporting today that apparently the security cameras at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, the one that was broken into by 3 or 4 criminals, made off with the French royal jewels, crown jewels. The password for the security cameras was Louvre. That's it. One word, the name of the museum. What a massive amount of incompetence. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Welcome back to the What's Right Show. You know, I mentioned this when I was on OAN the other week. I think it was not last week, but the week before. I got asked about this Louvre break, and I mentioned there was, first off, a story about the first female director of the museum being hired some time ago. And there was a follow-up piece that was even more excited because the first female director of the museum then hired the first female security chief of the museum. And here we are, voila. Complete and total mess. Reminds me of the LA fires. All those women there in the fire department. All those DEI hires. Oh, we've got an all-female leadership. Hey, I have no problem with women working in a particular career field. Fine. You have to be competent. You can't just get the job because of your identity. We don't do that. Merit matters. Now, speaking of that, Prop 50, I've got to come back to this here because yesterday I was, after the show, I was briefly on with John Solomon. King Solomon is how people call him. He's right now the cutting-edge journalist leading the efforts into Crossfire Hurricane, all the reporting there, Operation Arctic Frost, just an enormous amount of developments that we found out about the Biden-era lawfare and Obama-era lawfare against Trump and his associates. But I was on with John, and we were talking about Prop 50. And I was, in my Newport office. I was in California, and so could give a little bit of insight to it, particularly because I'd had just a few minutes before a conversation with somebody in California. This is what I want to get to, right? Because we're taking it as a foregone conclusion that the heavily gerrymandered districts that are coming out of Prop 50 will all be won by Democrats. Now, I get it. There are districts like, for example, Redding. And I think this is the first district. It's the very top district in California. That Redding, a very conservative area, goes all the way up to the Oregon border. A lot of Republicans up there. But what they did is they created this kind of, it looks like an elephant trunk there. I'll make it appropriate. It looks like this giant elephant trunk going all the way down to Oakland. So this district is joined together with Oakland in an effort, of course, to bring in as many Democrats and to dilute the Republican vote. I don't know what's going to happen in that district. It depends on who runs, but probably the Democrats will outvote the Republicans. But there are, in Orange County, for example, this is my point, there's the 42nd district now, the Long Beach district, is going to take Huntington and half of Newport Beach. Now, Huntington, very MAGA, very conservative. Newport, also very conservative. And yesterday I had a conversation. This is what I broke this news on John Solomon's RAV, Real America's Voice show, that there is a popular mayor in Orange County, former mayor of Newport Beach, current city councilman Noah Von Blum. And Von Blum is going to run. And he's going to run for Congress in that 42nd district. And Ray Garcia, who is the congressman out of Long Beach, who's presumed to be able to win this. I know Noah. He has cross-party appeal. He's not a typical Republican. He's got a little ponytail, little man bun. He's just a very likable guy. Women love him. Women voters love him. I think he could honestly give Garcia a run for his money. And so that district could end up, Long Beach could end up falling to a Republican. So this is something to follow. And, I just caveating that these races still all have to be won by Democrats in order for them all to turn blue. Now, are they stacked in the Democrats' favor? Absolutely. But nothing, as they say, is guaranteed. So it comes down to the candidates and it comes down to the messaging. But it's the candidates. The Republicans in California run some real losers. I mean, if you look at those Orange County elections, like Dave Min, he's a terrible candidate. He's a Democrat, got elected. And it's because the guy that they keep running, Republicans keep running this guy named Scott Baugh, who has a personality of a pet rock. Scott Baugh he's chubby. I mean, it's not Katie Porker chubby, but he's chubby. And he doesn't look good. He's a hack. He's just a political guy that goes to political stuff and wants to be in Congress. But he doesn't inspire anybody, is my point. So Republicans are going to have to find candidates that are inspiring. This is going to take a tremendous amount of organization and skill and talent and recruitment in a relatively short period of time to get it done. So anyway, this is just stuff to know. I'm saying now. People are, the other thing that's going to happen is Prop 50 is just further going to encourage good people and productive people and wealthy people to leave California because it's the tyranny of the Democratic majority. They have decided to basically run roughshod over people in the state. And again, when you split districts up like this and force upon people representatives that do not represent them, it creates resentment. And resentment and fear are very powerful motivators. I mentioned at the top of the hour how there is an exodus coming from New York. There's no question about it. And there's a number of realtors down in Palm Beach and Miami, in sunny southern Florida, the mecca for New York City exiles to come hang out. Their phones are ringing off the hook already. Ringing off the hook. Listen to this. Well, it's not firing. Well, it's not working. Come here. Let's make this work.
Okay, y'all, I'm not going to lie. I did not think exactly this was going to happen. I thought this guy was going to win in New York City. I thought that our market was going to pick up. But I didn't think it was going to happen like the next morning. I'm like, okay, my sellers settle down. I don't think they're just going to come, racing down and, from New York City. But it's, I don't know. I don't even know what time it is, 3 or 4 o'clock. I've literally been on the phone since 7 a.m., nonstop back-to-back calls. I had showings scheduled for listings that haven't had showings in a month. And yeah, I was wrong because it literally turned on like a light bulb, literally blew off like a firecracker, and the post-socialist New York City political market is here on our shores in Palm Beach. Welcome.
They're calling this woman. This is one realtor, right? But she's a kind of a high-end realtor. People know her, and she has a name, and so they're reaching out to her. Her phone is ringing off the hook. If you own Miami real estate, if you own Palm Beach real estate, if you have a house in a desirable area for wealthy New Yorkers to move to in Florida, you've got it made in the shade. If you're looking to sell, now's the time. Because people are coming through, and this is it. People can vote with their feet. And you heard it, by the way, from the young woman who says, well, so what if we run out of billionaires and millionaires to tax? We'll just tax the middle class. The amount of punishing taxation that is on its way to New York is astonishing. It's going to boggle the mind. People don't even realize it. And this mother effer that won the election, who is, all about, giving away free stuff, is now turning to his supporters to fund his transition team. You've seen this. Mamdani's he's filmed a number of videos already and since winning the election, and they're all begging for money. Here's one of them.
A few months ago where I told supporters across this city to stop donating. And today I am asking them to start once again. And I am asking them to do so because of the fact that a transition that can meet the moment of preparing for January 1st is one that will require staff, it will require research, it will require infrastructure. And those are things that we will have to provide. And I'm excited for the fact that it will be funded by the very people who brought us to this point, the working people who have been left behind by the politics of the city.
Okay. Fun fact, some of these people that are in the transition team that are going to get paid for by donors who wanted free stuff, but now I guess are going to be paying for all of this starting today. Some of the people are terrifying, including Lena Khan. She's a former FTC chair. People are going, oh, this is so wonderful. Oh, she's so great. She's only 36. She's committed to leveling the playing field for everyday Americans, blah, blah, blah. She's a star. Lena Khan blocked the Spirit JetBlue merger. She blocked iRobot, Roomba, and Amazon, that merger. By the way, both Spirit and iRobot are shutting down now, canceling pensions, firing everybody. Just a glimpse of how things are going to go in New York City. And these people are like, oh, well, Wall Street's never going to leave. Wall Street is going to move to Miami. Miami is going to become, this is my prediction here, I think Miami is going to become one of the most exciting city. It already is, I think, but it's literally the financial hub of the U.S. Anybody who can is going to move down there. And it already started, right? Ken Griffin, what's his company? Is it Citadel? Is that the name of the hedge fund? They used to be a long time based in Chicago, and things got so bad in Chicago. Ken just picked up and moved to Miami, and he bought a house, giant plot of land just near Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, and we spent some obscene amount of money for it, $500 million, whatever it was. Of course, Mar-a-Lago is only worth $10 million if you ask Letitia James. Anyway. Wild stuff, right? This is what they have planned. But that isn't even the worst of it. I promised I was going to play this clip of this young lady talking about Islam and Mamdani. I'll play it here when we come back. You don't want to miss this. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. I have to mention this really quick. It fascinates me as a personal injury lawyer that there's this major crisis going on in San Francisco over Kit Kat the cat. You heard about this? Kit Kat the cat got run over by a Waymo. Just a brief aside on this. Have you been following the story? There is a city councilman there in San Francisco who basically wants to push legislation that's going to ban autonomous driving, or at least give voters the opportunity to ban autonomous vehicles. You know how many people have died in autonomous driving crashes gone wrong? And nobody cares? Now, don't get me wrong. I love animals. But Kit Kat the cat is where people are getting up in arms about. No, I'm just saying it's real. Oh boy, here we go.
If I were the Waymo PR team, I would be hoping that this whole Kit Kat thing just dies. And that's not happening. Tomorrow we'll be holding a press conference at Ronders Market, Tuesday, November 4th at noon. Please come if you're able. My name is Jackie Fielder. I represent the mission on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. The mission is where our beloved Kit Kat called home. I live around the corner from Ronders Market, where she was tragically killed by a Waymo. Last week, I posted about how the Waymo CEO said that society will accept a murder by a Waymo. And since the fatal hit and run of Kit Kat, Waymo has confirmed that one of its self-driving cars indeed killed Kit Kat. And Waymo tried to say that the cat jumped in front of the car when actually deeper reporting by Mission Local uncovered from witnesses that Kit Kat was actually sitting in front of the Waymo for at least 7 seconds.
Kit Kat was sitting in front of the Waymo 7 seconds when the autonomous vehicle decided it was going to turn into a cat killer. Look, I mean, if it was, I get it, right? If it was my dog that got around, I'd be furious. But can I, I'm telling you, this is a lawyer. Let me put my lawyer hat on here. You guys, these cars will be making decisions about life and death. And it's interesting because this is where technology and morality intersect. Right? The cars will, at some point if not already, the algorithms, the AI that is involved in allowing autonomous vehicles to operate is going to decide whose life is more valuable. There are split-second decisions that have to be made. There's a car coming at you. There's a pedestrian in the intersection. There is a driver and, the passengers in the vehicle, occupants of the vehicle. Will the AI determine who is older and younger, who is sicker or healthier, who gets to live or doesn't if the decision is binary? The car swerves, avoids one obstacle, one death, but in turn causes a likely death to someone else. Will these cars take into consideration, will the AI take into consideration people's relative value in society? There's a lot of things that we haven't thought of here on this automated driving stuff. Cool tech, right? It's the future, obviously. But there'll be a lot of interesting, I know there'll be a lot of litigation and a lot of legal questions to answer around it. And by the way, if you get hurt in this accident that involves any kind of autonomous driving vehicle, you got to get legal advice. And we're already now here at Sam and Ash dealing with some of these cases, and very fascinating stuff. And there are matters of first impression in the courts, meaning courts have not yet decided on this because it's completely new. So these are the kind of cases that require clever lawyering. Anyway, Mamdani has a supporter. She's popular on TikTok, making all the rounds. She claims to be a troll. Let me play the video here before I explain what this is all about. Listen to this.
All right, y'all, the Islamic Caliphate in New York starts now. That means we are all converting to Islam. I've already got one friend converted tonight. So the lines to begin conversion will begin tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. There will be mosques being built on every single block. But in the meantime, start outside my door. I am happy to help you convert, happy to be there on your journey. If you'd rather do it with somebody else, totally understand. You have to be safe, you have to be comfortable. But I'm so glad to have you, my brothers, my sisters, my siblings, on this journey.
Now, Her name is Faustin Lean or something like that. And she's claiming that it's her just poking fun. I'm just making fun of people. Ha 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 ha. It's like taking candy from a baby, she writes. Go back to Saul Alinsky. It's 12 rules for radicals. Rule number 5 is, quote, ridicule is man's most potent weapon. It's hard to counterattack ridicule, and it infuriates the opposition, which then reacts to your advantage. This is real. On the streets of New York, we will see scenes like this one.
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be a part of, Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah!
Absolutely horrifying stuff. And it's coming.